It's a bit surreal speaking to you again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice to
but
hear from
awesome as
you.
well.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, still doing my roller coaster ride all over the show. But I actually just wanted to ask you, yeah, I've been trying to figure out what on earth is going on with life for a substantial period of time. But the one thing I've actually come to realize is that I have really, really difficult family dynamics,
Mm.
and that those family dynamics that I grew up with actually contributed to me being pretty messed up psychologically. So, on
Mm.
the human level, that has been a real challenge for me most of my life.
Yeah.
Then getting into non-duality, and for some reason, since the very first moment I actually heard about it, or I've always known, but I know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's been this incredible resonance from the moment I connected with anybody that I can sense has got a different consciousness that they actually engage with life. I can feel those people, but I know, but I don't know. So, but I actually deeply, deeply understand how I'm actually projecting the world I live in. If I'm not wrong,
Mm.
is that?
Sorry,
I
just say that
mean,
last sentence again. The
that
deep.
I'm actually projecting the world I live in. So if I project a world of discomfort for myself, if I experience discomfort, it's like my projection.
Mm.
And I've actually realized that basically I'm stuck. I'm completely stuck in trying to understand how to negate certain things, because on the human level, I do understand that I need to say no to actually say, like, abusive situations within my family setup. I need to say no.
Mm.
And I still struggle incredibly much to people please
Mm.
and to actually dance at their whims.
Mm.
And I don't know anymore, because when I stand up for myself and I'm trying to be more loving to myself, I'm invariably less loving to them.
Mm.
And I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's this catch-22 that I find myself in. But I
Yeah.
also know that ultimately my goal is like this. I love this thing that Jack Cornfield said, is like, our goal is not to perfect ourselves, it's to perfect our love.
Mm.
So if I need to perfect my love, then when do I choose between myself, trying to actually get to a place of greater love for myself, and when do I choose to actually sacrifice myself to actually, out of kindness, to, like, to do kindness to somebody else,
Yeah,
because
it's a
otherwise
time.
they feel hurt.
Yeah, it's
So how do you know how to negotiate all these things in life?
yeah. I don't think I'm the best for asking this to, because I still struggle with family members where it's the same
Okay.
same here. Like I don't know how you navigate it well. It's complex because you kind of have these awakenings and you have these shifts, but you're shifting and awakening in a society that is based on identification.
That's exactly the problem. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's like yeah, it's something that I think that maybe some spiritual teachers have worked out, but I still haven't worked that part out. Like from the absolute perspective, like if you've got family members that are difficult, then from the absolute perspective, you are free. Like there is just love here.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
is love.
But
But
I
in the
feel very
human
free
world,
when I.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
No, sorry. No,
Yeah,
no, no.
I forgot what I was going to say now. You can go now.
No, I was going to say, I know that I'm free and I feel very free when I don't need to interact with them.
Yeah,
And that is what I find so ironic about, and I can't say this way or that way. I mean, I was actually having quite a bit of a laugh at your cup and postcard situation. Because I personally, I think I have developed severe, like, antisocial sort of dynamics as well. And I struggle to engage with people.
yeah.
And I feel so free with the whole postcard situation. It's like I'm happy. I'm happy. It's like the reason I've been praying for all my life
Yeah.
is that I can just be left alone now.
Yeah.
Give me my space, and I don't. It's
Yeah.
like it's the perfect excuse, because I find it so difficult to say no time and time and time again.
Yeah.
And now I can just like, I don't have to say no. Life said no on behalf of me. And suddenly I'm finding such a great freedom in what a lot of people are struggling with. So I don't know. I'm just
there's sorts of practices that you can do that help you with like these dynamics, and then help you find ways to navigate it. But I think it's always going to be complex, like awakening in a society that's identified. Like I don't think there are some teachers that claim to have worked it out, but for me, like if you're interacting with someone that's got no idea about spirituality, like if their dynamic, say, is something of feeling like unloved or not seen or unheard, then they're just going to keep repetitively acting that out, and there's nothing you can really do to stop them. You can maybe engage with them in more healthy ways, but those healthy ways might really help them, like not help them, hurt them, but it also might change things. So if you've got somebody that's say speaks a lot and doesn't listen to you, and maybe their dynamic is that what they feel underneath is they feel not heard, and so what you might have grown up in childhood to do is to listen to them endlessly. So it's like you disappear and don't exist, and then they just get heard, but then it never gets fulfilled. They always will endlessly speak to try to be heard. But what you could do is you could maybe bring it up in a very like I mean, I'm not an expert in this, and there's maybe like lots of psychologists that are out there like saying how to do it, but that way better than I can, like videos that you can watch. But you know, like you could maybe try and bring it up and explain to them that you would like to be listened to a bit more or something, and this might change things. It could also create a big drama, and then you'd have to look at that. But like, so there's different things, like if you keep like bringing it up that you would like to be listened to, like, you know, without blaming, without like shaming them, but just saying, and these sorts of things can shift things. But at the same time, if they're not interested in psychology, and if they're not interested in spirituality and healing themselves, then there's always going to be a communication issue. There's always going to be, you know, like this kind of compromise that you have to do with yourself in a way.
Okay. Now, it's sort of like, it's a bit comforting for me just to touch base with you and sort of hearing what you say.
Yeah.
Because I have found that, I mean, I've been a psychologist and psychiatrist half my life, trying to figure out why is things just not working, because it just doesn't seem to work. And I am starting to have a lot of insights into my I mean, if you get raised and live in a family, like a family dynamic that's very screwed up, trust me, you're not going to escape it. You're going to be as screwed up too.
You get so, and if you didn't get your needs met, then like that's a very physiological thing. Like that's very much in your body. Like it's not something conscious that you're choosing or not choosing. Like often people think you could just choose to act differently, but it can be very, you know, if you're not in your first couple of years, if you're like abandoned a lot by your parents, or your parents are drug addicts, or all types of different things. I just want to say before we go on this conversation, just to be conscious about that this is being on the internet to other people, because I don't want you to expose yourself and traumatize yourself in any way.
You know, I'm actually beyond that. I'm actually completely okay in terms of I've been through enough of that, and I do appreciate you warning me or telling me. But I am totally open to be as open as I honestly don't care in terms of.
There's not so many people that listen to it, but it's just saying it because.
No, but it's like, I think I appreciate you, but I'm totally okay with being as open as. Basically, the more open I am, the more I can get from you in terms of advice or just guidance, or just like what do you call that word? sort
Practice
of
reconciliation.
yeah,
I
that
don't
one.
know.
We both know the
Yeah.
one we're saying, yeah. So that one. So the thing is just my problem that because I've actually looked deeply at my own psychology and my family's psychology to really try and understand how things can work better. The problem that I have is that from a psychological point of view, that's not linked to non-duality. You often get like on the human level the advice to actually just like cut contact or get the people out of your life. But the problem is when I don't need to see them, I'm happy. When I am forced into a situation when I need to deal with them, I'm always unhappy. And from a psychological point of view, I'm actually guided, and my gut actually guides me basically to then cut contact. However, I actually see from a non-dual perspective that that's not always a very loving sort of dynamic.
I think in
Or am
non-duality is indifferent. From a non-dual perspective, like consciousness is watching whether you cut contact or not. Like it's pure love, and it doesn't have any judgment on that.
So I wouldn't have to feel guilty that I'm actually hurting them if they need to have contact, and feel very hurt if I don't. Is that more like their stuff that they need to look at, why they have this?
Yeah, this gets into complex ground, and I don't want to influence you in any way in this, because cutting contact or not cutting contact with people is huge, and I don't actually have an agenda. Like I don't think that you should or you shouldn't. I really don't know what your story is, and I don't have an opinion. But like guilt is, there's different like layers to guilt. So if I were to say, run over somebody's dog, then there would be instantaneous like guilt and regret. So that would be something that arises in the moment, when you see that, or you see the dog in pain. There could be guilt, there could be regret, there could be all types of complex feelings. But then, then there's also a deep knowing that I couldn't have done anything else in that situation. I couldn't have been anything else. And that's more the non-dual perspective, like this deep knowing that you couldn't have been anything else than what you are in that situation. But it's important that we have these initial reactions, because this is what helps us survive in a society. So it's important that there is a form of guilt when you act badly with people. But that guilt is dependent on your conditioning. That guilt is dependent on the way the society's conditioned you. And it's also dependent on your biological makeup as well. The suffering element comes when you deeply believe that. So that's a response that happens in the moment. And then the suffering comes when it's believed that you are guilty. There is nobody that's guilty, and there's also nobody that's to blame. So from a non-dual perspective, it would be more that it's, if you cut them off, then that's what's happening. And there might be guilt or sadness in seeing them hurt. But at the same time, you couldn't have done it any different. And that's the perfect play of things. So that would be more from the non-dualistic perspective.
Yeah, I think you've been actually unbelievably helpful in sort of making me realize that I need to understand my guilt better. As opposed to, that's actually something that I need to unpack more, is my whole guilt dynamic, and to actually work on that. And the fact that I think what's sort of the light bulb that went on now while you were talking is that I think I still have my own judgments on what I think. Like when you said, like I don't know, it's like actually not the right way of talking, but to say like non-duality is indifferent, life is indifferent, is that I'm still actually projecting what I think life should look like, or what I think, like a happy family unit or like love should look like. It's like my own projections that I'm bringing to the party, and that those things are actually things I need to work with a bit more.
Yeah, totally. That's really good to examine that and to explore that, and explore like your idea of responsibility, because that can often be a trauma as well, like feeling too responsible for other people's feelings. So these types of things are really good to examine.
But that's like where do I go with it? It's like, do you know how much I still, I mean, every time I think I've like walked 1,000,000 miles, I realize there's another million to go.
Well, then
But then
no,
at the same time, I
actually,
also realize that we're not going anywhere
anyway, yeah.
anyway. So,
Because also these are also habits that are responding. So it's also like you can give them time, yeah, and you can explore them. But then it's also seeing that that's also like a habit. Like in the end, that's not going to be your freedom. Like sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you laughing.
No. It's so I just think it's so funny because it's so complicated, and it's that's the word, reassuring. It's just so reassuring to know that you also don't have the cat bag necessarily, and that you also still struggle to basically, negate all these different dynamics within being a human, while at the same time also realizing that life is so different to the way that we're going around playing with it in our society. It's like, yeah. So you are magical. Do you have any idea what a gift you are to so many of us?
Wow, I really don't think about that. That's a really kind thing to say, but I really don't think about that. That would be really confusing.
You don't have to think
about
it because but your brain's like a sieve, so I'll tell it to you. So you don't have to think about it. I'll just keep saying it whenever I do have contact. Listen, Lisa, you are so awesome. I mean it when I say I don't touch base with you that much, because I also realize that any sort of non-duality teacher can just become the next addiction. So I've had to like put you on the back burner at times, but I have picked you up from time to time. And I just want to say thank you for what you do for so many of us. Honestly, you are so gorgeous and such a gift.
Oh, that's very sweet, Carol. I wish you lots of love, and say hello to your husband. I've forgotten his name, but I remember him from the retreat. He was very sweet.
I'll do that. You take care of yourself, and lots big hugs to Khaleesi, and we'll definitely connect again sometime.
Take
care of yourself. Bye. Okay, wishing you the best. Bye.
Nice.